Thank you all for sticking around. Really appreciate it. This has been a fun night. Closing us out, get loud from Mr. Ewan. Ooh!
There we go. Yeah, I'll tell you my 9/11 story. Yeah, I was like sleeping, right? And then I was in the living room and I hear my mom, she's about to go to work. And then I hear her on the phone, you know? And then I could tell by what she's talking about that it's some kind of plane crash or something, right? So I'm thinking like, oh no, like one of my relatives like died in a plane crash. And then so she's like, no, turn on the TV. So I turn it on and right away I see the two towers and they're both smoking. And in just 1 second I realize this is a terrorist attack, you know? And then I realized right away, like, whatever, our whole world is changed now, you know? And then I didn't know what to do and I just started praying and I was like, you know, God, like, thank you, God, like, thank you for not making me Muslim. You guys ever been to a Korean barbecue restaurant? It's kind of unique, you know, in that like you pay to cook your own meat, right? And if you pay extra, you can wash your own dishes and take out the trash. I was at Mount Baldy this past weekend. It was really cool. You know, I learned that it wasn't always called Mount Baldy though. Yeah, back when the mountain was like younger and more hopeful. Yeah, it was known as Mount Rogaine. You know, some dude told me that if you scratch your head, that's what makes you go bald, right? But I don't believe that because my balls are still hairy as hell. Yeah, one of my buddies, white dude, he's like super duper white though. He's like part albino and shit. Yeah, he's so white when he comes to my house, all my plants start growing in his direction. And you know, whenever I have sex, I never last as long as I'd like to, you know? I'm like, come on, penis, hang in there. It's always like, screw this. Blah. Yeah, I used to go to water parks every summer. But one summer I had a fairly traumatic experience happen, so I stopped going. Yeah, when I was 16, I was at Raging Waters. And I was waiting on the stairs, you know, to go on the slide. And then I look above me, and then the girl in front of me, like she's about the same age, but her boobs are like right on my face, you know? And it's kind of cold and windy, right? So her nipples are like popping out. I was like, oh crap, you know, so I turned. But then now this girl here, her face is like right on my junk. You know, and I already got a partial woody going on, right? Yeah, then this girl right here, she like yawns, you know? I was like, oh my God, you know? And I was like, boom, right? So I was like, oh shit, I gotta get out of here. So I just fucking ran up the stairs past everyone. And apparently it's pretty common at Raging Waters because the lifeguard was like, come on, just go. And so I got on that slide, got out of there, and I was like, damn, man, they need to rename this place. They should call it Raging Boners. Why did the shellfish, or why did the, whatever, why did the oyster share his food? Because he's shellfish. All right, there's a sailor, right? And he gets hired on this boat. And they're going around for about 6 months. He's talking to his buddy. He's like, hey, man, when do we go back into port? You know, I'm getting kind of horny out here. And he's like, oh, no, we're not going back to port for another 6 months. He's like, what? I can't wait that long. He's like, well, have you tried the barrel? He's like, no, what's that? So she takes him to this room. There's a barrel there, with a little hole in it. He's like, there you go. So he tries it out, right? He starts fucking the barrel, and it works really well, you know? He was like, oh, yeah, man, that was awesome. He's like, dude, I'm going to use that barrel every day. He's like, well, every day but Sunday, right? And he's like, oh, you can't use it on Sunday? Like, well, yeah, you can, but Sunday's your day at the barrel, so. What do you call a guy that can make a business suit real fast? Taylor Swift. You know, I think Pride Month needs a mascot, and I got the perfect one, the flamingo. Right? They got pink feathers, you know, they love to dance, and they're like a non-predatory, like peaceful type of bird, you know? And they only eat like brine shrimp and like algae and stuff. Nobody gives a damn about brine shrimp. And you know what group of flamingos is called? They're not called a flock. No, they're called a flamboyance. How gay is that, right? It's like all the best parts of Pride, all wrapped up in one animal. Yeah, even the name flamingo is flaming O. Right? A flaming O? That's just a burning butthole. And you know, whenever a guy brags about how big his dick is, it's usually the opposite, right? He's got a little tiny dick. And I was talking to this guy the other day, he's like, oh yeah, man, my dick's so big, I'm hung like a horse. And I was like, shh, yeah, like a seahorse. Yeah, Shaquille O'Neal, like, he's like the happiest man on earth, right? Like, you know, I think like everyone just loves him and he's always like so jolly. I think because he's never been bullied. You know, like, how you gonna mess with someone who's so tall that his crotch is in your face, right? And it's like, hey, Shaq, give me your lunch money. Never mind. And you know that whole thing where if you're a lady and you're alone in the woods, would you rather run into a bear or a strange man? And a lot of women are choosing the bear, right? But I think that's just ignorance of bear knowledge. Because I ran into a bear alone in the woods once. Yeah. And he fucked the shit out of me. Yeah, earlier this year, scientists reported for the first time 2 male humpback whales having sex. Yeah, Warner Brothers already to make a movie about them. Yeah, they're called Humpback Mountain. Yeah, it's weird how language changes over time, right? Like nowadays, if a guy came up to me and told me he was gonna blow my brains out, I wouldn't know whether to run away or pull my pants down. And I was watching this Bigfoot show the other day, and it struck me as how dedicated these Bigfoot hunters were. And you know, they're so devoted to something that might not even be real. Like comedians in their careers. Yeah, I've had sex with all different types of women, like white, black, Asian, Hispanic. In my opinion, Asian women give the best blowjobs. Yeah. If any of you ladies like to prove me wrong, you can meet me in the bathroom after my set. A couple months ago, North Korea sent over 200 balloons over to South Korea. And they were like loaded with like garbage and excrement. But that statement's not exactly accurate, because those balloons weren't filled with shitty trash. No, they were packed with Dane Cook's jokes. And you know, there's a new disorder going around called the Usher syndrome, and it makes you go blind and deaf. It's pretty serious, right? You know, because I always thought when you got Usher syndrome, it just made you go, yeah. Yeah, I was in the United States Army, 1st Cavalry Division, Fort Hood, Texas. It was cool being in the Army, you know. It was weird being the only Asian person, though. And you know, every day people were just looking at me like, are we supposed to shoot this guy? Yeah, it's cool being in the Army. You get some good benefits. But I'd say the best benefit was the ability to give old men hard-ons. Yeah, old men, they love hearing Army stories. I guess because it makes them feel younger, it gives them hope for the future. Some. If I meet some old man at a park and I start telling them Army stories, I tell you, it's start coming all over me. Yeah, you know, one of my Jewish friends, her name's Jenna. Jenna the Jewish princess, we call her. Oh, she's a staunch supporter of IDF and Netanyahu, all that, you know. And I get the point that Jenna makes when she's talking about all that. But then what I hear what the Palestinians are saying, I become torn, right? Like, which side should I be part of? Like, should I take the side of the Palestinians? Or should I choose genocide? Yeah, the rapper Macklemore a couple months ago came out with a new pro-Palestine song called Hymns Hall. You know, most people weren't paying attention to the war. They don't know anything about Hind Rajab or anything, right? Me, I'm Generation X, so I know all about her story. But one thing I don't know as Generation Xer, though, is who the fuck is Macklemore? Yeah, one of my buddies is Muslim. And, he doesn't eat pork, you know. But he's always kind of pork shaming me and shit. He's always like, oh, gross, we eat bacon and sausage. I'm like, man, I'm Korean, right? We eat dog, right? What? Yeah, I was driving around the other day, and I got pulled over by a horse cop. Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't even know it was behind me until I heard this, woo, woo. It wasn't Siren making that sound either. It was the horse. And you know, the NFL is one Asian player, and he's a kicker. Could you not find a more racist position for this guy? Where you're gonna make him go up barefoot in a karate uniform? Yeah, I was watching the Oscars this past season. Towards the end, I was getting excited. I was like, hey, look, they're bringing back the Mummy. But then I saw it again, I was like, oh no, that's just Al Pacino. Yeah, a couple months ago, whatever, I had a real bad haircut, you know? Oh, it was horrible. Like, you ever have a haircut so bad people start treating you differently? Like, this guy must have a learning disability or something. You know your shit's fucked up when the waitress at Denny's is tying a bib around your neck. Yeah, I was eating pizza the other day. But, eating pizza by yourself is kind of depressing, right? Yeah, it's like eating cake or getting drunk by yourself. Basically like my last birthday. And O.J. Simpson died a couple months back. That was kind of crazy, right? Craziest thing was how he crashed the internet. Yeah, basically the second he died, half of America got online and was like, who the fuck is O.J. Simpson? Yeah, this past April 4th is now a new holiday. It's now National Burrito Day. That's pretty cool, you know? And the very next day, April 5th, it's now National Toilet Clogging Day. And you know, comedians will always tell you two things, right? They'll always tell you when they just get booked on a show. They'll always tell you when they just had sex. That's a bit juvenile, right? Like myself, I've been booked on a show in over a month. But I did get laid last week, so whoa. Alright, my name's Iwan, I'm out here.
Yeah, alright. Iwanu.
Thank you, buddy. Hell yeah.
Thus concludes the 3 o'clock.